Welcome to Fine Tuning with Drew Taylor, your one-stop shop when it comes to animation news and commentary. I'm Drew's co-host, entertainment writer Jim Hill, and he and I are recording the show on Friday, August 26th, 2022. Did you catch the first episode of Season 3 of Star Trek Lower Decks last night?
I did. It's been fun to watch that and Beavis and Butthead back to back. It is. Have you started watching the new episodes yet?
I have not, and that might have helped. After the big setup for last season, the whole Captain Freeman setup for the destruction of the Packlet planet, and Mariner and her friends are going to have to scour the universe to prove that the captain didn't do it. And I thought, okay, they're setting up a whole season-long adventure, and no. They wrap it all up in the first episode, which I kind of found disappointing. Don't get me wrong, it was fun to hear James Cromwell again as Zephyrin Cochrane.
Yeah, that was great.
That was, but I was really kind of looking forward to this epic story playing out, and now it's back to square one, right?
Yeah, I just got in the mail, literally right before we started recording, Paramount sent me the new 4K set of the original 6 movies. So I am very excited to go back and revisit some of those earlier Trek adventures.
Well, speaking of the Trek movie, you saw the news today about Matt Shakman walking away from the Paramount Theatrical, right?
Yeah, it was supposed to be the 4th Kelvin timeline movies, right?
Yeah.
But Marvel Studios must have been thrilled that Paramount inadvertently confirmed a very big piece of Marvel Studios news by saying that he was unavailable.
That's right. The Fantastic Four film. So, yeah, this new Star Trek movie is still supposed to come out December 22nd of next year. And Mr. Shakman has a little more time for Fantastic Four. That doesn't come out till November 8th of 2024. But this is not animation news, Drew. This is Star Trek news. So, okay.
I know. We gotta get back to it, Jim.
And speaking of news, as always, the news portion of Fine Tuning is brought to you by Storybook Destinations, trusted travel partner of the Jim Hill Media Podcast Network. For a worry-free travel experience every time, please book online at StorybookDestinations.com. Let's start with the Pinocchio trailer. That I'm kind of shocked that we're 10 days out from this debuting on Disney Plus, the Zemeckis movie.
Yeah, nobody's seen it. Nobody is allowed to see it, and the review embargo is the day of release, and the premiere is the night before, or maybe the night of, that it's on Disney Plus at the lot, Jim. So you know that they're really serious when they don't spend $1 on the premiere. I will be attending, don't get me wrong.
Okay.
But, yeah. I don't know, but I didn't think the trailer was terrible.
No, in a weird sort of way, I like the look of Jay Foulfeather, and just the fact that Pinocchio is so slavishly close to the film from 1940. It's got me really looking forward to the Guillermo.
Yes, we love Zemeckis. He's done some really amazing things, but
he has.
It's a tall order to try to replicate what is arguably the finest accomplishment of Walt Disney Animation Studios. Definitely the best of the big 5 original films. But yeah, it is a little bit. It's a little bit like Gus Van Sant recreating Psycho, because it's just like, what is the point here?
Yeah, that's an excellent observation there. On the other hand, we have yet another animation live-action project that debuted just this week on Netflix. We've got Lost Ollie, and you've seen all 4 episodes of this, right?
Yeah, I've got some good coverage coming out from that. I just have been underwater, as you've known. It's a crazy news week this week, but yeah, when are you going to fire it up, Jim? You got to get your tear ducts ready.
I'm trying to clear time this weekend because I looked at it and it's like 4 episodes. It's manageable. I can do this. But again, have Kleenex ready. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a really wonderful accomplishment. I kind of say that it's like if Terrence Malick had directed Toy Story, is kind of the vibe. It's very naturalistic. It gets into some kind of heavy themes. When it's rated TV-14 for terror, that it's going to be good. You know what I mean? Like, that's when you know this is some real stuff for kids. They're going to be dealing with some stuff. Yeah, I absolutely adored it. I cannot wait for you to watch it, Jim, and we'll talk about it on the next episode.
And while we're talking about Netflix, it's also worth noting that season 2 of Cuphead started just last Friday, August 19th. We've got 13 new episodes of this Fleischer-esque show, and I so enjoy the look and the writing, and this is just so much fun if you're a fan of animation history. But it's also really well written. I'm almost surprised that sometimes, like the 1930s almost screwball comedy wordplay. Are you watching it, or?
I haven't started these new episodes, but yeah, I love it. It got the first batch kind of got weirdly overlooked, I thought, or maybe like underrated. But that first batch also had a great cliffhanger with the introduction of the new character.
There we go.
So yeah, I'm very excited to see how that plays out. So I'm ready to jump back in.
Okay, well, cool. And by the way, she's a sweetheart. Okay, I have to ask this because Clay Dreams, the Mark Evans film about Will Vinton and Will Vinton Studios, okay, supposedly completed back in 2021, finally got a limited theatrical release earlier this month. It was out in theaters on August 5th. I'm dying to see this movie. It seems to have dropped off the planet. Is it playing out in LA at all?
I don't think so. I mean, part of me wondered if there was some weirdness with Laika, because they started as Will Vinton Studios, and I was wondering...
They did.
Yeah, if there was something weird there. But no, I haven't seen it at all. I mean, I think it played some festivals and things, but nothing that you can go and buy a ticket to, for sure.
Because it's making me crazy. There's at least one story that showed up in a review that really caught my attention. The effect that evidently Pixar at one point tried to buy Will Vinton Studios and bring it in-house. Well, let's be the best of both worlds. Let's be the best CG computer operation on the planet and the best claymation. And Vinton didn't go for the deal, which then left the door open for Travis and his dad. So if anybody's heard where this is playing, can they please share? Because it's so strange to hammer on Google and it's like, yeah, this movie exists and it doesn't seem to be playing anywhere. It's just very strange. Anyway, we were just talking about Laika, and of course, earlier this week we got news on the voice cast of Wildwood. What did you make of that?
Well, I mean, it's a pretty amazing cast.
Supposedly the Carey Mulligan is the voice of our lead. The lead character in this thing is preteen Prue McKeel, who must enter an enchanted wonderland when her baby brother Mac is taken by a murder of crows into the forest depths. That's the log line for this thing. We are almost a full year out from when this is supposed to arrive in theaters, August 18th, 2023. But yeah, it's a crazy voice cast. Mahershala Ali, Angela Bassett, Jermaine Clement, Tom Waits, and Richard E. Grant. Anybody else from the cast list, Leva?
Jacob Tremblay, who was in Luca, obviously is in the cast. Also, Awkwafina, who was in Raya and the Last Dragon. Mm-hmm. And I absolutely love this younger actress, Amandla Stenberg, especially because she's caused a little bit of controversy with a film critic. I don't know if you've been following that whole story, Jim.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah, so...
I wondered why I recognized that name. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, it's a really impressive cast. Where did you get that date, though, Jim? Because they still don't have a distribution partner.
I literally pulled that today.
Oh, God, I hope you're right.
What kind of intrigues me is they're saying this is Laika's most ambitious film yet, which on the heels of Kubo and the Two Strings, it's like, how are you going to top that?
Wow, Jim, you have just completely forgotten about Missing Link.
I'm sorry, that's a lovely film, but Kubo, just the stylization, the animation, the epic scale. I also have to say, if I'm playing favorites here, what's nice about this time of year, especially since here in America, Halloween starts in the middle of August, this is when Paranorman starts to go into heavy rotation on cable television, and if I'm blipping along and come across that, an hour of my life is now lost, because it's like I always have to stop and watch that movie. Though, did you see where Coraline was just back in theaters earlier this month?
I think I saw a little something about that. I think this is all sort of in prep for that, the show we were talking about.
Oh,
in
that's
New
right.
York.
That's right. That's right.
That MoMA, I think.
Actually, I think it's the Museum of the Moving Image in Queens. And,
Okay.
Yeah, and again, I think you're right. I think it starts early September, and again, you got to come out. We got to go see that.
Yes.
But anyway, Coraline was back in theaters. This is the second year in a row they put it back in the theaters. And what's interesting, it doubled its box office take from last year. One night only with Fathom Events, they sold over $800,000 worth of tickets and showing it at 800 locations. So love that Laika's getting a little love there.
It helps that there aren't any new movies out until November. I feel like people are really looking around for something to watch.
Yeah, well, if you wanted to see Scoob Holiday Haunts, there was only one place to see that. That was on the Warner Brothers lot within the past week to 10 days. You've been hearing about these funeral screenings for Scoob and Batgirl?
What a terrible name for them, right? Like, good Lord.
Given what happened to those two films, and it's sad when going into the vault forever is the best case scenario. Have you heard about supposedly the IRS may demand that they prove that they burned the prints and that they erased all the digital copies? I mean, that's crazy.
Seems a little extreme, but
It does.
What do I
It
know,
does.
Jim?
Remember this time last week, you and I were basically working off of rumors about this whole HBO Max Cartoon Network things disappearing there because of what execs at Warner Brothers Discovery were supposedly asking. But did you see where Owen Dennis, the creator and showrunner of Infinity Train, actually came forward? That 2,500 word essay he posted in his Substack?
Yes. Yeah, I've been talking to Owen too since, and it's just complete bewilderment. It's like how do you deal with this? And I'm glad that he put that out. I thought it was really great and very emotional and
yeah. And Owen starts off by saying, I had no idea it was coming. Neither did any other show creator I've talked with, nor any of their representatives. And the thing that jumped out at me is that evidently Cartoon Network begged the execs at Warner Brothers Discovery for a week's time to properly let all of the creators and that sort of thing know that this was going to happen. And did you see what they refused? It was like, no, this has to happen quickly, so go do it.
Well, what's so baffling about that decision, too, is that Summer Camp Island, which is one of the shows that they pulled, has new episodes coming out on Cartoon Network still. I think there are 20 episodes that they produced over the last couple of years that still have yet to air. So Cartoon Network is trying to still maintain a relationship with these people whose shows are still airing, and that the parent company is just treating like garbage.
Let's share what Mr. Wilson had to say about these executives at Warner Brothers Discovery. He called them on their rude, unprofessional, and slimy behavior. And by the way, it's also worth noting here, to add to the offense, it's been pointed out to me that a number of the shows that have been shelved or outright canceled prominently featured characters that were people of color or members of the LGBTQ community. So
yes,
maybe we need to throw the term racist and homophobic into Owen's pile of descriptors for those executives.
Yeah, I mean, that there were a lot of reports that the executive pool is now much wider than it was a couple of weeks ago. But, we did have this news, potential news. I'm not sure how much validity is actually there. But the Dan Lin story.
Yes, please talk about it, because that's kind of interesting. Dan obviously has a lot of experience in the world of animation. I mean, he was the producer of the Lego movie, the Lego Batman movie, the Lego Ninjago movie, and Lego Movie 2, the second part. But also he did the live-action version of Aladdin with Will Smith.
Yeah, he also has Haunted Mansion coming out in the spring, and he's working on Lilo and Stitch. So...
yeah, definitely already a busy guy, but can you talk about the gig he's supposedly up for?
Yeah, well, the gig he's up for is to oversee what they're referring to as DC filmed content. And he would oversee film and TV, which is pretty unusual. But the more unusual part is that he wouldn't actually report to Mike DeLuca, he would actually just report straight to Zaslav, which is really interesting because they're sort of equating him to Kevin Feige, where Feige still has to go to Alan Bergman. You know, he is not appealing directly to Bob Chapek. So in some ways, he would be filling a similar role to Feige. In other ways, he would have more of a direct line to the purse strings that are being, you know, controlled. Although so much of the press this week about Warner Brothers Discovery has also been about the lack of funds to even promote some of these movies. We saw Shazam 2 get kicked down the curb, as well as Aquaman 2. Part of this is due to a backlog on visual effects, which we all have heard about. But a lot of it has to do with the fact that they, in an effort to cut down on spending, don't have the money to actually promote more than 2 movies. So they slotted in House Party for December 9th. Now that will be their Christmas movie, I guess. And the only other movies coming out from Warner Brothers this fall are Don't Worry Darling, which has its own troubles in the press today, as well as Black Adam, the forthcoming Dwayne Johnson movie, which it was teased in League of Super Pets, the animated film from this summer.
It was.
Yes.
One of the other projects that it's still in production, it just doesn't have a home currently, is the Batman Caped Crusader, the thing that Matt Reeves, the guy who directed the Batman movie that came out earlier this year, J.J. Abrams and Bruce Timm are doing. Is that right?
Yes, it's the one, and Ed Brubaker and Bruce, is writing it, and it has been described as being more Batman the Animated Series than Batman the Animated Series, which I love that description. I think that is so cool, and I was so excited for this show. Yep. And yeah, it is being, basically, people were saying it was canceled. It's not canceled. It's just not going to air on HBO Max anymore. But when I wrote this up, I said, it's not like Disney Plus is going to put on a Batman show. So already your pool is very limited, and there are other things that were similarly taken off the table, which we have to talk about.
There was that Daffy and Porky Save the World thing that, especially on the heels of how well the Rescue Rangers movie did, just the disconnect. Or for that matter, the notion that a product like Batman Caped Crusader, which again, Warner Brothers has made money off of Batman since, when was the Burton movie? That was 82?
No, that was 88?
88.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, the fact that it's not going to be at HBO Max, but according to the trades just tonight, that Apple TV, Netflix, and Hulu are all keenly interested in this animated series, which again is being shopped around.
But Jim, you gotta remember, we got the Bugs Bunny musical also being shipped around. The Batman kind of Home Alone movie, Merry Little Batman, which concerned Damian Wayne being in the Batcave alone when some bad guys show up. Also the Urkel Christmas special.
Did I do that Christmas? Yes. This pile, along with the Daffy and Porky thing, those all look like stuff that will be fun and would draw an audience to HBO Max. And it's like, why take things that seem like sure things and pull the plug them? I do not get this.
And that speaks so clearly to the legacy of Warner Brothers. I don't get it, Jim. I don't understand it. It goes, as we talked about last week, goes against the principles of streaming services, which is create content that will live on the service forever, that connects with, your brand, all of that stuff.
This time last year, we were talking about Vivo, the Sony Pictures Animation project that had like a teeny tiny run in theaters, like for a week, July 30th of last year, and then debuted on Netflix just a week later. And I know in the past you and I have complained about the fact that Netflix doesn't seem to do all that good a job of merchandising its films. So the other day I am walking through Target and I see at an end cap they have a Blu-ray of Vivo. And what's interesting is it just hit its store shelves back August 9th, just earlier this month. And I made a few calls, checked in, and supposedly it's a trial balloon to see whether or not there's an interest for people to actually own these things that they can already see on Netflix?
Well, they had Mitchell's versus Machines came out a little while ago.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the only other Netflix stuff that's come out on Blu-ray has either been like co-productions, like the House of Cards seasons you can get on Blu-ray, or when Criterion will put out Okja, or one of those movies on Blu-ray. So I would love for there to be more.
Absolutely. And by the way, if anybody's listening over at Netflix, you want to try another trial balloon, Klaus putting that amazing Sergio Pablos film out around the holidays. That seems to be a no-brainer.
Give me Sea Beast, 4K Sea Beast, Jim. That's what I want.
There we go. Or bring out Wish Dragon just before Chinese New Year.
Oh, I love it, Jim. I love this thought process.
But I'm doing this for entirely selfish reasons. All right. I want them. I've got the wonderful Art of book for Klaus, and there never was one of those for Wish Dragon. Though you were mentioning tonight that there's also a number of other recent films that are showing up for purchase. Well, at least on digital. And in fact, you were just talking about League of Super Pets, right?
Oh yeah, that just hit digital this week. You can buy it for $25. I have so far resisted the urge, Jim, but it's such an interesting climate because you would expect that to just be on HBO Max, but they are not going that route anymore. They are trying to milk it for every dollar it's worth. So who knows when it'll actually be on the platform? But yeah, if you have not seen it and are dying to see it, I am dying to see it, but have not. You can buy it for $25 on all your major streaming platforms, or PVOD platforms.
There we go. And also, do you want to talk about Belle?
Oh yes. So Tuesday. Have you seen this?
No, but this is what makes me happy. Is it's finally coming to a place where I can get at it.
Yeah. Well, it's on HBO Max right now, but on Tuesday. I have to pimp this out, Jim. It is a deluxe 4K version of the movie, and it comes in this beautiful package. If I had it here with me, I would open it up to show you, Jim. It is so cool and beautiful. A making of book, and the movie in the best imaginable picture and sound available. So it's a little pricey. It's about $50 right now on Amazon. I will say that I have it, and it is worth it. So that is from our friends at G Kids and Shout Factory. And also, actually, Jim, have you heard about this show called Nadia, The Secret of Blue Water? You might remember it coming up when Atlantis came out.
Yes.
Okay. Should I give a rundown of what it is?
Yeah, please.
It's sort of a steampunk inspired anime series that was done by the creator, who would go on to create Neon Genesis Evangelion, and it actually started as an idea that he and Miyazaki had together, and the one project kind of split off into Nausicaa Castle in the Sky, and this. So you kind of see the two parents kind of going off in different directions, but it's got a remarkably similar plot and design to Atlantis. And G Kids and Shout Factory just put out a beautiful box set. And I've been going through the episodes sort of when I have some free time, and it's just wonderful. It's an absolutely wonderful show. So I recommend, if you have any interest in any of those things, to pick it up right now on home video.
Well, again, folks, we told you it was a crazy news week, and so it is. And speaking of rather crazy news, on the second half of today's show, Drew and I are going to be celebrating the 35th anniversary of what should have been the third series produced by Walt Disney Television Animation.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
I know we talked on last week's show about how box office for Rise of Gru was going to increase because the film was finally being allowed to be released in China, and true to form, this Illuminations Entertainment movie now stands at 838 million in ticket sales worldwide. But you wanted to talk about the special end for the film that's been crafted for China, right?
Yeah. Well, did you see the movie, Jim? We're gonna ruin the movie right now. You're okay. You're okay.
Yeah, I can sleep at night. Please go on.
Okay, so the end of the movie is the Alan Arkin character, who's kind of an old time thief, and Gru, who's young, little Gru, kind of go off together and escape, and you think, oh, they're gonna get up to some mischief. But for the Chinese release, because they do not want to encourage anyone to become a supervillain, for obvious reasons, Jim. I mean, they inserted 2 title cards that say, and this is very reminiscent of, do you remember when they edited the end of Fight Club to say that the Brad Pitt character was arrested before any of the bombs went off? So
yep.
There are 2 title cards, one that says the Alan Arkin character was arrested and served 12 years in jail or something. And then the other one is that Gru went back to his family. So everything is fine, Jim. The insidious, influence of minions has been avoided on the Chinese mainland populace. So.
And, what I love about this is the arm of the Chinese government that deals with Western films is literally called the propaganda office. So, I love the fact that someone in the propaganda office wrote those cards and had them tacked on to the end of the film.
It makes me appreciate Lightyear and its refusal to remove the same-sex kiss even more.
And again, seriously, folks, haven't seen that on Disney Plus, you are missing out on a great film. And before we get to the kid stuff portion of the show today, worth noting that just last night, Little Demon debuted on FXX. And given this is an animated series that starts at 10 p.m. at night, yes, it's aimed at adults, and yes, this is the one that has full frontal nudity. But what's more intriguing to me is that the main character of this thing, Chrissy Feinberg, teenage girl who finds out that she is in fact the spawn of Satan. She's voiced by Lucy DeVito, and her dad, Danny DeVito, is the one who voices the devil on the show. And what you're in an interesting time when that's the second father-daughter team that's doing animation right now, because I think a show or two back we were talking about Disney's Hamster and Gretel, were created by Dan Povenmire, and his daughter Melly is voicing the title character Gretel. Speaking of Disney-related stuff, Drew pointed out that it's National Dog Day. In fact, you have Nova there with you who's been a very good dog. She's made no noise at all.
I know. Sometimes I'm like, oh, you're here? Because she's so quiet. But yeah, she's in my little sweat box with me right now.
Oh, she's a sweetheart. But I don't know if you saw, once again, there are there's no polite way of saying the stupid people who are talking about how Goofy is supposedly a cow.
I never even understood where this thought process came from.
Supposedly, he's occasionally paired with Clarabelle Cow. And it's like, yeah, Mickey and the Three Musketeers that they did a couple of years back. But it's just sort of like, when he was introduced in May of 1932 in Mickey's review, he was literally called Dippy Dog. I mean, Goofy didn't land as the name for the character till a couple of films in. So it's like, no, Dippy Dog. He's a dog. Just let it go. The cow people are not going to win this argument. On the other hand, if we want to talk about Disney dogs, Drew, have you ever seen Fluppy dogs?
I think I looked it up at one point. This, we should say, is also the opposite of Netflix shows in the sense that there was so much merchandise around this thing.
Yeah.
But yes, tell us more.
Michael Eisner comes through the door in September of 1984, and he's looking for ways to make additional revenue for the Walt Disney Company. And Disney has never done animation for Saturday morning. So Michael immediately turns to folks and says we should be in that market. And sure enough, September of 85, less than 10 months after Michael's come through the door, Disney has 2 shows on Saturday morning. They have The Adventures of the Gummy Bears, that's on NBC, and they then have The Wuzzles, which airs on CBS. And they did half as well as they'd hoped. I mean, the Gummy Bears wound up running for 6 seasons. They made 65 episodes, and I'm sure you recall seeing the characters in the park at some point.
Yes.
On the other hand, the Wuzzles, they produced 13 episodes. This brand was supported by merch, and it crashed and burned. But they had just released The Black Cauldron. And what kind of both infuriated and fascinated Michael was the animated film that did better business that summer than Disney's $20 million animated sword and sorcery thing was the Care Bears. And it's like, okay, so clearly that's what people are looking for. How can we get our own Care Bears? Which brings us to the Fluppy dogs. And I don't think I've ever read a more overwritten description. I mean, they wanted an adventure series like the Gummy Bears. They said, okay, that show succeeded. People like adventure shows. But they also wanted a show that had cute characters like the Care Bears. So this is how the show actually starts off. A band of adventurous, cuddly, dog-like creatures called Fluppies, who use a crystal key to open interdimensional doorways. They started the show on a mountain in one world in perilous weather, and they used the key to open it. They escaped to a jungle world where they're then chased by a giant purple dinosaur creature, and they open another portal and tumble into a supermarket on Earth. And this is where they meet 10-year-old Jamie, who is supposed to have been their good friend and companion throughout this series and protected them from the evil J.J. Wagstaff, who wanted their crystal key, who wanted the power to jump from world to world. And there were 5 Fluppies. There was Stanley, who was blue, who was the loyal Fluppy. There was Tippy, who was pink. She was the loving Fluppy. There was Bink, the yellow one, and she was shy. Ozzy, the green one, and he was cool in kind of a Fonzie kind of a way. And then there was Dink, the red one, who was playful. And they produced the pilot. And Eisner wanted, before they committed to a full series, because of what had happened with the Wuzzles and how he was stuck with 13 episodes, that, what am I going to do with this? So he requested, look, let's set this up to run on one of the then 3 networks and see if there's actual audience interest in this thing. So they cut a deal with ABC. And this actually aired on ABC on Thanksgiving Day, 1986. That's November 27th. And it wound up coming in 70th for the week. It was the lowest rated ABC film of the week.
Film is kind of an exaggeration, though.
Very much so. Yeah. But there was a very large merchandise program behind this thing. Kenner got on board fully because, again, they saw the Care Bears and wanted, something like that of their own. And there were books and all that. And so they made this series of 16-inch tall Fluppy dog plushes that had yarn hair. They also came with fashions.
They looked kind of like the Shaggy dog, kind of.
This is true.
And I think I had one of these dogs, Jim. That's where I think. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't take it out and show it to Nova.
No.
This will traumatize her. But, this stuff hit for the Christmas season of 86. And there were plans to expand the line in 87. Another 6 Fluppies were designed and were supposed to be introduced in the show when it got renewed for season 2. But Eisner looked at the ratings, looked at the pilot, and it's like, we're not going to do this. And in fact, they burned off the Fluffy Dogs pilot in fact, it would have been 35 years ago tonight, on August 30th, on the episode of The Wonderful World of Disney that aired on ABC. They played the episode of Fluffy Dogs, and it's like, there, now we showed it on television, we can officially, write it off. By the way, if you're interested in seeing this, someone has actually remastered the full 45-minute long pilot, and it's up on YouTube right now. And it's also worth noting that maybe it's a good thing that Fluffy Dogs failed, because after that, Disney opted to go tried and true rather than with new, which is why in September of 87, we got our DuckTales show. And speaking of DuckTales, remember how with the DuckTales reboot, they would periodically bring in characters from the other Disney afternoon shows? Like, I think Rescue Rangers showed up with one, and of course they brought in Darkwing and Duck and that sort of thing. But in the Let's Get Dangerous episode that aired in 2017, the Fluffy Dogs actually show up. I guess there's an interdimensional doorway that opens as part of the show, and for a brief moment, the Fluffy Dogs come through. So they're canon, at least as far as the DuckTales reboot show is going.
God bless it.
And speaking of reboot, if you Google Fluffy Dogs right now, there is a woman, Spring Hickman, who seems determined to bring these things back. In fact, she lists herself as the brand owner. And as of August of last year, she had some new versions of the Fluffy Dogs. I guess these are called Fluffy Dogs. And she was even looking to get some new animation featuring these versions of the characters up on YouTube. So who knows? Maybe we'll talk about them in a future fine-tuning. But
so wait, where is the remastered version on YouTube?
All you have to do is go to YouTube and type in Fluffy Dogs. It's Fluppy, folks. And the full 45-minute version's there. There's also another version where they break it into 5 different parts.
It's going to be like that video of everyone watching Game of Thrones in New York, Jim. Did you see that? The entire apartment building. But it's going to be, as soon as this episode drops, everyone going on YouTube to watch Fluffy Dogs.
I seriously doubt that. In fact, to be honest, folks, if you want some quality entertainment, don't go for the Fluffy Dogs. Go for Light the Fuse. Drew's wonderful podcast that he does with Charles Hood about the Mission Impossible movies. And what are we talking about this week?
This week we are finishing with a visual effects producer who worked on Mission Impossible 3 and Ghost Protocol. Some great news stories there. Ooh. And yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. And by the way, we also have some other podcasts here you might enjoy listening to. We have Disney Dish with Len Testa. We have Looking at Lucasfilm with Brian Gahn. We also have Marvelous Disney, the Marvel News podcast that I do with Aaron Adams. Beyond that, Drew, where can folks find you on social media?
Just Drew Tailored, like a tailored shirt, on Instagram and Twitter. What about you, Jim? Where can people find you?
You can find us on Twitter and Instagram as Jim Hill Media, and over on Facebook at Jim Hill Media News. Thanks for listening, and Mr. Taylor and I will be back soon.